guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we've finished the normal series of the tanking guides in Ny'alotha raid. Heroic videos will be following shortly. However, I've had more video ideas to make, and also I'd like to start streaming a fair bit more. So again, if you'd like to come and watch my stream, there'll be a link in the description. We just have a laugh and have a good time showing our progress, or even doing keys or random bits and bobs. However, let's get on to the big finale of this series, Ny'alotha the Corruptor. On normal, this fight can still be very tough and go wrong very quickly if you get it wrong. Tank position has a lot to do with this, especially in the early phases. Going the right way, especially in the Psychos realm, which I'll explain shortly. Once again, the main mechanic of this fight, like the Carapace, is indeed your sanity bar. If this reaches 0, exactly the same, you get a damage increase before being mind controlled and need to die. There are a few things in this fight that you must watch out for in relation to this, even from the very start, for us tanks basically. Upon engaging this boss, your group will be taken in the air before being slammed out of the ground in a new realm. There you'll meet your first problem, which is called Psychos. Psychos in the first phase will be a massive indicator to the next couple of phases of the fight. That being said, on normal you can have the same tank do the Psychos realm every single time. However, on heroic, after the first phase, you both have to do it once. So it's good to familiarise yourself if you're planning on raiding heroic. The way to handle Psychos is to have your tank kite it in a predetermined path. The objective in this phase is to kill the tentacles that spawn, which are called synapses, and they spawn all around the room. However, it must be done at a time when the boss is close or stacked near the tentacles that are being killed. This is because every time a tentacle dies near Psychos, he'll gain a synaptic shock, which is a huge damage taken increase. I think it's 50%, and it does stack. You ought to get him to about 4 to 6 stacks even, depending on the DPS you're running with. How I go about this is kiting Psychos down the left side of the encounter space, marking skulls on the ads as I move. This way it gives DPS a good indication as to where I'm planning on going and how to position themselves. And as you reach about the 3 or 4 stat mark, you ought to turn back on yourself and start kiting him through the clear path that you've left on the inner side of the circle, and killing any more synapses that are there as you move back to the start point. It's important to be careful on your timers, because he has 2 abilities that you have to watch out for, and one of them is being Mind Rack, which is an interruptible cast that it's just best to have an interruption rotation for, as it does a fair amount of damage. It increases your physical damage taken by 33%. You ideally don't want to be tank swapping during the Psychos phase in case things get a little bit messy if you're not on the same page as to where you're going. The next ability, however, everyone has to look out for is Creeping Anguish, which is a huge void zone below the mini boss, which expands, dealing damage and also depleting sanity. You ought to avoid standing Psychos next to the synapse unless it's either nearly dead or he's nowhere near a cast. So yeah, and the DPS should always be ahead of you, so remember to mark the skulls. Once Psychos is down, you then want to return to your copy where you started at the encounter, and then begin a simple DPS phase, which I think he's just he's vulnerable for like 20 seconds or something like that. However, when the DPS phase is over, it's important to remain stacked and damage the expanding pustules that there are on the floor, and prepare to position yourself for a mind grasp, which is pretty much, after a certain amount of time, it'll grip you and pull you either towards or away from the boss. It's important to be stood as far away from the direction that you're going to be pulled, otherwise you'll end up in a sanity draining area, and that's no good for anybody. You'll know which direction you've got to be pulled in, as it's indicated by the animation coming from your character, either towards or away from the boss. If you go to be pulled away, stack on the boss. If you go to be pulled towards the boss, stand towards the outer edge of your encounter space and avoid going over the cysts. So try and position yourself so you're not going to be dragged in a direct path of any of the cysts. For the next phase, there'll be 2 groups of tentacles that spawn. It's important that you decide yourselves which tank does which, but there is going to be an ad in both groups called Basher Tentacle. They need to be tanked, otherwise they do serious damage to everybody. So again, make sure to plan between both the tanks which tentacle you'll tank first, and as long as you've done that, you've done your job. However, a punishing mechanic will be following closer to that, and this mechanic is called Paranoia. All you have to do for this is ensure that you spread out before it's cast, and if you're inflicted, find your linked player and stack on them until paranoia ends. Once this little intermission's over, before the first mind gate and the second mind gate is where I tend to refresh my sanity depending on if I've avoided all the mechanics that are supposed to drain my sanity. You do this by using the extraction button on your screen. The raid will now be divided into two groups, and one group will go into Psychus Realm, which is exactly the same as Phase 1, where the tank that kites Psychus, instead of doing the turn back on yourself mechanic, I'd recommend tanking him on the inside of just on the outside of Ny'alotha basically, and picking up any stray synapse tentacles that are along the way, like towards the middle of it. You don't want to be going to the outside. You should easily build up about 4, 5, 6 stacks doing this, and you should die no problem. But just because there's less of you in there, I'd recommend just, taking the safe route. But again, it really should not be a problem. As long as he gets 5 or 6 stacks, you should be absolutely nailing him. The second group will be dealing with more of those tentacles from the outside realm. Fairly straightforward. Just tank the basher and make sure that you don't die. That's pretty much it. Avoid anything else that might reduce sanity, because paranoia also goes off in this phase, so just remember that. But again, as long as you do this twice smoothly, you're into the third phase of the fight, and it is also the final phase. The final phase is kind of a breather for us, as it mainly involves managing universal mechanics and taunting a mob every now and then. To start, everybody should stack at the boss as a group, and the boss will summon a Thought Harvester, which basically casts Mind Rack at the tanks, which is still interruptible, and he also does a huge purple swirly called Harvest Thoughts, which all players that don't have Anguish need to stack in, as it drains more sanity the less people that are in it. Just ensure that this ad is kept under control and dies smoothly, and you should be fine. One more mechanic to worry about as well, or a couple more, is Evoke Anguish, which when it expires will drop an AoE sanity draining circle on the floor, which expands with every cast from the boss. Move away from the boss to stack these outside, like in the outer circle, from where you're tanking, and you should be absolutely golden. Also, as the last note, make sure to watch out for his Stupefying Glare, which are rotating beams around the boss that deal a fair amount of damage upon hitting you, but also fears you for 4 seconds, which isn't ideal. But yeah, that's pretty much covers Ny'alotha fight for us, guys. If you did enjoy, please leave a like, and any questions, please do comment below, and I'll try and answer them as best as I can. I hope this series has helped you to achieve some kills, or even just helped you try out tanking in general. Thank you so much for the support so far, and the heroic guides will be out shortly. Till then though, guys, take it easy. Thanks again, and bye now.